What's up, spell slingers and Highlander enthusiasts? Havoc here, and today I would like to present you with another Brawl deck tech. Now I realize that my channel is very new right now, and many of you watching this really don't know much about me. Don't let the Havoc name fool you. I know it sounds like I'd be a red player through and through, but I'm not. I love the white weenie decks and the token decks. I don't know what it is about them, but I just find them really fun to play. So this commander and what she wants to do is right up my alley. Say hello to Huatli, Radiant Champion. If there ever was a token commander in Brawl right now, she's gotta be it. Huatli is a 4-mana planeswalker for 2 and Selesnya. She comes in with 3 loyalty, so for 4 mana, that's not bad. Her first ability is very unique. Put a loyalty counter on her for each creature you have on the battlefield. Now, many have said that having a planeswalker as a commander is kind of like gaining life because your opponents have to attack the walkers before they can start chipping away at your life total. If that's the case, then Huatli could be one of the best life gain spells in the game. And we'll be looking to do her ultimate as soon as we can, potentially the turn after she comes out. Huatli's second ability is target creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. Again, very relevant in a token strategy for the late game. Making one of our tokens huge could help us in a stalled board state. Now, her last ability is what it's all about. For -8, you get an emblem that reads, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. And this is your card draw engine. So let's do some math here. In order to alter the turn after you cast her out of the command zone, you will need at least 4 creatures on the battlefield. 5 would be better so she stays around, which with this deck shouldn't be hard to flood the board with cheap creatures and tokens very early. Now on the surface, Huatli is unassuming, and with how we typically grade walkers, she wouldn't be very good because she can't protect herself. But in a token strategy, she won't need to. You shouldn't be casting her until you have a good board presence, and then you can +1 her with no fear of losing much, if any, loyalty because of your board state. If your opponents want to get Huatli's loyalty counter down before you can alter, then they're going to have to go through your token army. So since they're a huge part of our strategy, let's talk about our token makers. We start off first with Ovia Pashiri, Sage Lifecrafter. Just a super value 1-drop here. You can block 1-power attacking creatures just fine, and she creates tokens. Small servo tokens in the early game and big fat construct tokens in the late game. What's not to like? Master Trinketer, another servo token creator here, but the Trinketer also is a servo and Thopter Lord, so our baby tokens grow up to be real threats in the late game, especially with Huatli's -1 ability. Pride Sovereign. It stinks that we have to exert this cat in order to make more cats, but hey, for a 1-mana activation, this gets Huatli's loyalty up fast, and that's what we're all about in this deck, getting that emblem. Oketra the True is next. Sure, let's just throw a god into the mix while we're at it. And being that she's a god, it makes her a serious threat, but she also poops out great token. 1/1 warrior tokens with vigilance to be exact. Pretty good. Angel of Invention is an anthem that either gives us a great flying vigilance lifelinking threat in the late game, or another way to flood the field with tokens to help out what we're trying to do with Huatli. Cultivator of Blades, very similar to Angel of Invention, just a little worse. We get 2 more tokens out of this, and we also get a great way to pump up our attackers when we're trying to close out the game. Regal Caracal gives us more cat synergy here. 2 1/1 cats with lifelink, and it gives our other cats +1/+1 and lifelink as well. Now, this is a Selesnya card if I ever saw one. Tokens and life gain. We have Tendershoot Dryad, a newer card here, but by the time you cast it, you are at least halfway, if not already, at 10 permanents for the City's Blessing, which then this guy is pumping out a 3/3 Sapperling every turn. Moving on from our creature token creators, we have Servo Exhibition, which gives us 2 tokens for 2 mana, pretty straightforward. SRAM's Expertise gives us 3 servos for 4 mana, and a 3 CMC spell for free is pretty automatic in this deck. We have Oketra's Monument, which helps us ramp, and with every creature spell, it also gives us more tokens. Legion's Landing, the ideal one drop for this deck, and hopefully you can swing out with 3 creatures early so you can flip this into Adanto, the first fort, as soon as possible. Again, we get a creature token with lifelink. What's not to like? And we also have Sandworm Convergence. This was my pet card from Amonkhet because I love the idea of turning out 5/5 worms every turn. But I've also been able to shut out some decks I play with this in my Risk the Redeem deck because all they have is flyers and they don't want to attack into my 5/5 worms. So this is just a perfect in-game closeout card for the Huatli token deck. Finally, this card doesn't really produce tokens by itself, but it has to be included, and that is Anointed Procession. This is the real MVP for the deck, and other people know it. So don't be surprised when it gets removed. Take advantage of the time you have with this on the board and get double tokens while you can, because I guarantee you it will be gone. Our next category for the deck tech is our ramp. We have Channeler Initiate. Again, great ramp and a good creature to have in combat, either attacking or blocking in the late game. We have Drover of the Mighty. We don't have any dinosaurs in the deck, but a 2-mana mana dork is pretty much all we got until Dominaria releases, and we'll cover that a little bit later. We have Servant of the Conduit, same as Drover of the Mighty here. This is our only energy card, but hey, we need the ramp, and a 2/2 out early on the board is still great to have. Next is Rishkar, Pima Renegade. We have a minor +1/+1 counters theme running in the deck, so it's not out of question to have more than just 2 creatures tapping for mana with Rishkar's ability. Now, speaking of +1/+1 counters, we also have Oath of Ajani, which gives all of our creatures counters. But be careful with this one if Channeler Initiate still has -1/-1 counters on it, because those counters will cancel out. But also, this helps us ramp because our commander is a Planeswalker. This card is a lot worse in decks where you aren't certain if you'll be casting a Planeswalker spell every game, but since we'll always have a Walker spell to cast, we get a lot of value out of this one card. We're also running Growing Rites of Itlamok here. The new Gaia's Cradle seems pretty good in any green deck, but really good in a tokens theme. And it's not out of question for this to tap for 10 mana. Now, that is crazy for standard legal cards. And finally, we have Path of Discovery. I covered this in my Samut deck tech, but both in terms of ramp and card advantage. Remember, this triggers off of creature ETBs, so every token that comes in gets to explore. You'll be turning through a lot of cards this way, and that always feels good. Next, we have our card draw. Now, we only have 2 cards in this category, but remember, this deck is all about getting Huatli's emblem on the board, and that will be the best card draw engine we could ever want. First, we have Vizier of the Menagerie. Not really card draw, but still it's card advantage, and it helps us fix our mana if you're having troubles in that area, at least for our creature spells. And we're also running Lifecrafter's Bestiary. The Scry is so nice to smooth out your draws, and paying 1 green mana for a card is even better. Next, we have our removal package. Manglehorn is our artifact hate card, and if your opponent is trying to put out a lot of Thopters or Servo tokens, they come in tapped. And remember, treasure tokens, they have to tap in order to sacrifice them, so that could come into play too. We also have Thrashing Brontodon, a great body here and gives us some more artifact and enchantment removal. We're also running Angel of Sanctions, which gets rid of anything, which is relevant in a format where gods are running around. And this angel is great in combat, and we can get it back from the graveyard if we need to. We also have Thopter Arrest, Cast Out, and Ixalan's Binding as our removal enchantments that can all exile indestructible creatures and artifacts. Now, Huatli isn't the only Planeswalker we're running in this deck. If we're in the Selesnya colors, then we should take advantage of that. Nissa Vital Force can help us get another creature on the board to help ult Huatli, and we can get back one of our creatures or enchantments from the graveyard in the later game. Ajani Unyielding helps our removal, and our card draw, and our +1/+1 theme, and our Planeswalker Huatli. Yeah, Ajani was made for this deck. And we also have some notable includes here. These are just a few cards that work well with what we're trying to do. We have Majestic Myriarch. Now, I don't know what a Miriarch is, but it takes advantage of having a flooded board, and the keywords that it can clone in this deck are Flying, Double Strike, Indestructible, Vigilance, and Lifelink, all great ones. We have Heroic Intervention, which gives our token army some protection and could effectively fizzle one of our opponent's board wipes. We're also running Animation Module. Another way to get out tokens for very little investment, and who knows, that pay 3 tap ability might come into play. Like if Huatli is 1 counter away from ulting, we pay 3 using our mana dorks, giving her 1 more counter, and boom! Card draw engine achieved. And of course we're running Mirage Mirror. Now, I don't know what I'm looking to copy in this format, but I know that there will always be something that I want to do that to. And finally, we have Durable Handicraft. It pumps our puny tokens and distributes counters. It seems pretty decent. In our mana base, we are running Evolving Wilds, a Sunpetal Grove, Hashep Oasis, Scattered Groves, Shefet Dooms, Field of Ruin, then 8 Plains and 9 Forests. But wait, there's more to this deck tech, because with Dominaria's release being just around the corner, I thought we should at least talk about which cards are viable for this deck when Dominaria gets added to the standard card pool. Fungus seems to be a key theme in Dominaria for some reason or another, so you could try to cash in on that with cards like Spore Crown Thallid or Spore Swarm, those all are great token producers. Other cards like History of Benalia would be solid. Llanowar Elves is obvious as a great mana ramp option. Song of Freyalise, oh my goodness, this card is ridiculous, and I can't believe that it's uncommon. Maybe Verdant Force as a late game closer, I'm not sure on that one, but we also have Shana Sisei's Legacy, which could be very scary, and she comes with some evasion. I like that card a lot. When looking for viable commanders for Brawl, I said in my first video that you need to see if there's enough support for what the commander wants to do. As you can see, there is plenty of support for Huatli, and even more in a couple weeks when Dominaria drops. Now, it's going to be very difficult deciding what to keep and what to cut, but with the Radiant Champion being in Ixalan block, she's going to be around for a while, and who knows what other support she's going to be able to get in the next upcoming sets. Huatli, the Radiant Champion, could only get stronger and stronger as time goes by. So I'm going to get my deck made now and crush my foes with a death of 1,000 needles. Having your foes know that they were taken out by an insignificant 1/1 sapling or servo is just so satisfying. So if you like flooding the board with creatures and drawing cards from an engine that your opponents can't interact with, give Huatli a go. And if you like this video and want to see more, please give me a like or comment down below. It helps out a lot. And if you like my channel, give me a sub. Once again, my name is Havoc. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.